Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Baruch Hashem, once again to our annual Dor Lador family get-together. I think it should be called more of a family reunion, where the Hora or Shlomo family gets together, Baruch Hashem, and people take time out, and people really push themselves to be able to be here together. Somebody said to me that I said some people here, they don't have off today. Some people do have off today. Many people don't have off today. In fact, walking into Yeshiva, Rabbi Edelman was telling me that nowadays more and more people do not get off on January 1st. It's like one of those things that the more inventions there are to be able to save us time, the less time we seem to have. It's a real struggle. So I said to somebody, one of the people who came today, I said that you have work today, and yet you're still here right now. You have work today. And he said, because we have our priorities. Our family comes first, kids come first, and and our brothers come first for those who came for brothers and friends. And it's extremely, extremely beautiful thing, and a big, big, big yashakach to all of you who came today, and ashrecha. Before we continue the program, I just want to say a tremendous, tremendous thank you for the people who helped set up today's breakfast and the rest of the program. First and foremost to Rabbi Yanofsky, who has been slaving all morning, whether you've seen him or not, hiding behind the scenes, preparing everything, moving everything, guiding everything. And of course, Reb Shimon Weissner, who has worked hard, come earlier today to be able to help set everything up. And a big, big thank you to Nathaniel Tatalov, who has always the man to turn to. Always the man to turn to for structure, organization of the yeshiva, Baruch Hashem, and for this beautiful camera setup that he has done right now. Yashakayach to everybody. I really have a lot to say, but I'm not going to say any of it now because my wonderful favorite cousin is here, and he told me to keep it short. So I'll keep it less than 25 minutes. No, I'm just joking. I really want to stand here and thank everybody for coming, and I want to introduce my dearest friend, Rabbi Milstein, to share words of wisdom, as he does every year at this time. Rabbi Milstein.
Good morning. The name of this program is Dor Lador. I want to share a thought with you and a little story. Many people stood last night in the freezing cold, transmitting over sheker. I am not so sure if you had generations of people standing outside last night, transmitting over sheker. There were no grandfathers there with their grandsons. There were no fathers, maybe some fathers and sons, probably the fathers who consider themselves still to be children, like many adults nowadays that are caught up and swept up in the media and everything. They never want to face adulthood. And with Klal Yisrael, we also stay up once a year. I shouldn't say we also stay up once a year. We stay up once a year in a very warm environment. Very often, fathers and sons, grandfathers, grandsons, brothers, friends, chavrusas, rabbeim, and that's in Shavuos. To transmit the Torah, to transmit the Emes from one generation to another, from one chaver who might know something more than another, brothers, friends, chavrusas, rabbeim. That's what we do. We transmit the Emes. Sheker ein la raglayim. And we know that Emes has the ability, Emes spans. The word Emes, we're going to talk about Emes during the actual learning program. Emes starts with an aleph, ends with a tuf, spanning all the aleph bays with the mem in the middle. The Torah unifies. The mem is Moshe Rabbeinu, who brought down the Torah from heaven to earth, unifying the two. And Emes is something that unifies. It says that when a person learns together with somebody else, it says they bring them closer to our Sinai. The Rambam even says that just like a person has to transmit Torah to his child, he has to transmit Torah to himself. Interestingly, the Rambam doesn't say you're supposed to learn. The Rambam says, Chayev lelamed es atzmo. This is about passing on the torch of Emes, unifying generations, bringing us to the unbelievable national revelation that we had at our Sinai, that no nation, religion in the world can even have the audacity to try to lie about. Yes, we all, millions of us, saw God speak. No. The stupidest religions, the smartest religions, all of them share one common thread. They're fake, and they're pretty much made up and promoted by one person. God came to me, and he told me to tell you. And we are the only religion that can say, truthfully, without shame, without audacity, just plain and simple the facts, millions of us witnessed, and we transmit it over from generation to generation. I want to share a story with you. It's not just about the generations. There was a young man by the name of Eliezer. We just watched a video a few days ago about the escape of the Mir, all the way to America from Europe. And we saw a little clip, a little bit what Siberia used to look like. Okay? My grandfather was in Siberia. He was a teenager. There were no barbed wire fences, no security officers, nothing, because there was no place to run to. Your only hope of survival was sticking within the community of slaves in Siberia. Everything around you for thousands of miles was frozen. My grandfather was there as a teenager, and he was given a shovel, and he was told to dig the frozen ground for no other reason than just to break his spirit. And it was Shabbos, and he took his shovel. I may have said this story in the past, but it's such a meaningful story. He took the shovel on Shabbos, he turned it upside down, started hitting the ground with the handle. So as to do it awkwardly, to make a shinoi, it shouldn't be a transgression of Shabbos, min haTorah. And when he's hitting the ground with the handle, the Gestapo, the guy in charge, the guard there, got so frustrated. He took his bayonet, started slamming my grandfather over the head with the butt of the gun, and he screamed, "You stupid Jew, you don't know how to hold a shovel!" My grandfather crumpled to the ground, and the guy starts kicking him with his boots. He's rolling around, bleeding on the floor, until finally he bumps into a cabin. And the guy tells him, "If you're too stupid to hold a shovel, maybe go in there and you could hold a potato peeler." And Shabbos saved my grandfather's life. He managed to be in the kitchen, having leftover scraps of food, having the warmth of an oven, and very little supervision. While working in the kitchen, another young man joined him. And when nobody was around, my grandfather asked him, "Have you ever learnt in yeshiva?" In those days, it wasn't so common for teenagers to advance past elementary. Once they were about 15, 16 years old, a lot of them were helping out with the cow and with the tailoring, with the shoemaking, just to bring in a few pennies to the house. And my grandfather turned to this other young man and says, "Have you ever learned in yeshiva?" And the guy said, "Yeah." He says, "You know how to learn Gemara?" He said, "Yeah." My grandfather pulled out a folded page of Gemara that he smuggled into Siberia in his sack. Not the greatest place to keep it, and the two of them studied this page, one page of Gemara, hundreds of times together. Hundreds of times together. I believe it was like Daf Tes or Yud and Yavamis. I'm not sure. Hundreds of times together they studied this stuff. As a matter of fact, at the end of my grandfather's life, when he was in the hospital, he had some questions that were never answered on that page of Gemara. Long-standing questions, and he asked Rav Shmuel Birnbaum to visit him in the hospital to answer those questions before he dies. But anyway, my grandfather finally survived the war, emigrated, came to America. He worked first as a shamash in a shul, and he ended up making his own little shul eventually. When my grandfather died, he was pretty much a young man. I barely remember it, and I was just a young kid when he was nifter. When my grandfather died, my father brought him to Eretz Yisrael to be buried at Har HaZeizim. They had a small avaya in the Mir, Yerushalayim as well, because he had some old friends that were there. And then they proceeded on to Har HaZeizim. And there were a few old men that had known my grandfather still from Europe that had joined the Levaya. And at Har HaZeizim, this was Elul time, it was quite a hot day, an elderly fellow was standing there next to my father as they're lowering my grandfather into the grave. And this old man starts shaking. He starts shaking and he faints. And they thought it was dehydration. It was hot. They quickly brought some water. They got him up. They pulled him up. And as soon as they got him up again, he starts shaking and he's just pointing pointing at the gravesite. And everybody's saying, like, what's wrong? And he said, who arranged this burial spot? It's random. You know, they called the Chevra Kadisha. At that time, they still had some spots available on Har HaZeisim. They called the Chevra Kadisha, and they got a spot on Har HaZeisim. So he said, random? The spot right next to my grandfather's was his chavrusa from the Siberian kitchen. I was in a shul nearby, in Steinwitzer Shul, where there's a person there who was one time talking to another person right before davening at the 8 o'clock chakras, and I hear him telling his friend, you know, my father was a Navardiker, they learned in Yeshiva Navardik, and I butt into the conversation. I said, my grandfather was a Navardiker. He said, what's your name? I said, Milstein. He said, my name is Tribish. Your grandfather was my father's chavrusa in the Siberian kitchen. They're buried right next to each other. Torah unifies. The greatest unity in Klal Yisrael is around the nucleus of Torah. The unbelievable unity of Klal Yisrael that came together by the Mita of Yaakov Avinu in this week's parsha was the Keser HaTorah, the Torah Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. Yaakov, as he was dying, the last words he said, he asked his sons, is there any separation amongst you? And he all said, Shema Yisrael Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Baruch Shem Kivayim Malchus Eloheinu V'ed. Echad. The Torah unifies. Two chavrusas are represented by the two kruvim. There are Ard, Na'or, and Kodesh with the Shechina between them. I'd like to suggest that when we get together to learn, right after we bench, don't sit side by side. That's not how chavrusas learn. Klal Yisrael doesn't sit side by side. When we learn with each other, we face panim el panim, just like the prophecy we got from HaKadosh Baruch Hu at Har Sinai. This brings us back. It spans all the generations. It spans all communities of Klal Yisrael. No matter what the distance is, the Torah ultimately will bring everyone together to see Mashiach Tzidkeinu B'meira. Thank you.